Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Woman to Woman show on the new U Nation Network. Good evening, my sisters. How are you on this Monday, February 24th?
Doing well.
Doing
Thankful.
well.
Glad I
Cool,
made it
cool.
in today.
Yeah. Yep, so we are back here. The time is flying, and so we're going to get started. We are here for another Monday night episode. We are glad for anyone that is joining us, and for those of you who will maybe see this on the replay. Tonight, we are going to get started as we normally do, which is we introduce ourselves and we say what we are grateful for. And so, my name is Theodora Carter. I am a certified life and career coach and HR consultant. And what am I grateful for? Oh man, I am grateful for another Monday, of course, but I am also grateful for these big old glasses that I bought online without trying them on because I didn't know how they was gonna look. So I'm getting used to them. But yeah, I'm just grateful to be here for another Monday and for what God is going to do tonight, because I do believe this is going to be a lively conversation. And I will toss it to Regina.
Hi, good evening. My name is Regina Booker, the owner of Seasoned and Fabulous, where women 50 plus or older, I should say, um, get get unstuck with their dreams, hope, career changes, empty nest syndrome, and start just enjoying life. And we do retreats, talks, so just or whatever we need to do to get ourselves back on track, and self-care, basically to love ourselves and embrace ourselves. Okay.
Nice.
Oh, what am I
And last
grateful for?
but not
Oh God, I'm
least,
so
oh, you didn't say what you was grateful
uh
for.
I am grateful that I got through this weekend. I haven't been here for a couple of weeks because I had many projects going on. One which is completed, which was my worship conference that I do every year, and I've been stepped up in the role. Um,
Mm.
basically, it was a lot of work, but it was good, and we got through it, and it ended on Sunday, and I'm super tired, but I'm grateful.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. Hi, y'all. My name is Regina Howard Norman. I am, first off, a believer in the Most High. I call him Elohim, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and my big brother, the Holy Spirit. Um, I am grateful today to be able to engage in this conversation. Oh, what I do? I I cook a little food and I help young folks and their families really find the secret sauce in their children and help them create a platform so they can vet it out instead of microwaving their life. We teach them how to slow cook. So I'm ready for tonight.
Nice. So I'm just going to say this. I love this platform because, listen, for those of you who are joining us, we are real women with real issues doing real things. And so I appreciate that we could come on here and you could tell the type of day we had because we are like forgetting what we're supposed to be doing and saying, but we're going to get it together and we're going to have a good time. So we are going to get started. So welcome to the Women to Women show, New U Nation Network. This network is geared towards the Gen X population, but we welcome everybody. But we are speaking from our experiences as Gen Xers. And so that's who we aim to reach, but we welcome anybody. And tonight we are talking about when your friend's love life tests your friendship, right? And what does that mean? Then may I ask, what does that mean?
Hey, trying to think if I even had that situation. I
So have you ever had a situation where your friend has dated someone that you don't care for, or if one of your children have dated someone that you don't care for, or if you've dated someone that someone doesn't care for and they told you about it?
Yeah, I did in college. Yeah.
Okay.
But it didn't damage our friendship. It just basically like, why are you with him? Like, they could not
So you
stand.
didn't like your friend, you didn't like your friend's mate?
No, they didn't like my boyfriend.
Oh. And
And
so
they
what
just
what
could
did
not.
they just came out and said it?
Yeah, they told me. So that's what I'm saying. It doesn't really fit the subject because it was like kind of a laughable uh they just didn't see what I saw him. They thought he was arrogant and he didn't do anything to me. They just didn't think he was the right guy for me and they just didn't like him. But they told me and it didn't stop our friendship because he didn't impact it. So it's not a good example because it was
Well,
no
well, well, it didn't impact the friendship, but how did it make you feel?
in college. I didn't really care. I
You
mean,
didn't.
I wanted them to like him. You're talking about a 19-year-old, the
Mhm. Oh,
version of
so you were
me.
like 19. Okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't a real. That's some saying that we need to kind of adult up. I think
I mean,
because
I definitely have been there. I've been in a situation where I did not particularly care for one of my friends, and it's probably been more than one, but this one I can remember because this is something I would say people shouldn't do. Don't tell your friends something that the person did to you,
Yes.
because they might hold that grudge or hold on to it longer than you do. Right. And so I have had that situation where one of my best friends like told me something that her, mate, boyfriend, whatever at the time said, and I didn't appreciate it. And I had to you know, figure out how I was going to, be around that person, right? Because she was still with him. She had not left him. She stayed with him for quite a few times. And so whenever I was in their presence or we were around, I would basically say hello. Like I was cordial and I was respectful, but I am the person, which I've gotten better. I am the person that can sit in the room after I say hi to you and act like you're not there ever. Like I could sit there and like you're there, but you're not. Right? Like I'll say hello, I'll entertain. If you ask me a question, I will answer it, but it usually would be a one-word answer, right? But I'm not going to engage in a long conversation. But I have had that situation, and the crazy thing is, I think I need to ask my friend if she even knew that I didn't like him. Because I think other people knew, like especially one of my cousins knew, but I wonder if she knew, because I never really said to her, right, that I didn't care for him, but she probably could tell by my interactions with the person, right? And then on the flip side, I've been in situations where people didn't like the person I dated, but unfortunately for me, they didn't tell me until after I was no longer dating the person. And I was like, well, why didn't you tell me while we were still dating? But
well, that's the thing. They don't tell you because they're your friend,
mhm.
and that's a tricky situation because in a
Yes.
love triangle, you're gonna choose your man or well, we could speak for women. We don't know what men do. I don't really know what a man would do, but I'm gonna be with my man. So, but then afterwards, you could tell the person as your friend. Now, if it's domestic or something, you might
Oh
want to
yeah,
go a
that's a
different
whole
route.
different.
Yeah,
That's a whole
but
different.
if it's just like like you just don't like them, you kind of be there to support your friend because that's who she chose.
Mm.
And even though you don't like them, she saw something in them.
Mm.
But And then if it breaks up now, what if it ends up they get married and they, you know what? I do have.
Listen, look, you always be like, I don't have a oh, this never happened. And then you be like, and I told Sheila that last week. I was like, I bet you Regina gonna have some examples.
Matter of fact, I owe her a phone call. This is a very one of my college friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I knew, well, the guy, one of my friends from high school, because I lived in California, you know, I told you guys I lived all over. So we were in California and he was in the service. So she called me up and she said, hey, I'm not going to say his name. He's stationed in San Diego, you know, and I told him you were there and blah, blah, blah. So I said, yeah, tell him to come by. Now,
we call him Bud.
Yeah, when Bud came, whatever you said, when he came by, it was a totally different guy than who I thought he was. And I'm standing there, he done told me everything where we, you know, yeah, you and we went here, I picked you up from school after the football game. And he knew so much about me, but I had him mixed up with another guy. Okay, get on to the next part of the story. The next part of the story, you know, so I was like, okay, I didn't really know this was the guy, but, you know, we were cool. So my then husband, well, he's deceased now, my ex, they were in the service. So his friend invited us to a party. That friend from high school was there. I introduced him to my friends that we all came with. And next thing I know, one of them was dating him. And I was like, y'all dating? She's like, yeah, you introduced me. I'm like, I just introduced you, said, hey, this is, so it was 3 other ladies with me. Worst marriage ever. They went from, he did the most, and I would have to come over and grip my tongue at she would call me and tell me the things that he would do. And I'd be like, oh my God. And then she would go around and tell her parents. I remember one time, and no one liked him. No, her family didn't like him. Oh, wow. No one. He was just horrible. Mom came out one year and she's like, yeah. She called me Regine. Regine introduced. I said, stop telling people that. Stop telling people that I introduced you. And she would always tell people that I introduced, and no one liked him. He was horrible.
But you did. But you did it. You did.
I did not. I introduced him today. I didn't tell y'all to start dating. Y'all, I did not say
you still introduced y'all.
Okay, you did not want to have a
No, I mean, but he wasn't. It doesn't sound like he was abusive. He just was like.
Yeah, he was. Off. He was verbally abusive.
Oh, he was verbally.
He was verbally abusive. He was a cheater. He did so many crazy things to her, and it was just horrible.
Well, you said you didn't like him. Her family didn't like him. Did anybody?
Nobody liked him. And then one time, now once we finally, she finally, after years and years and years, left him. So once she left him, I just let it go. So, but she knew that I really didn't like him because, you know, and then she would, like when I moved, when I was in Jersey, she would call me. We would keep in touch, and he would walk in the door. Hey, Regine's on the phone. You want to talk? No, I don't want to talk. She would put the phone, and I had to act like, hey, how you doing? Da, 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 da. And he knew my other friend that I was really close with, one of my childhood friends. That's who told me about it. So this is the part that gets me. When they were making, you know, we're intimate. Here come my grandson. He would tell her, this is how my friend, my childhood friend, this is how she would do it. This is how and call her name in an intimate setting. I didn't know this until afterwards. And then one day she told me, she says, I hated her. I said, why? What did she do? And she told me, I said, that wasn't her. That was him doing all this craziness. Right. So can you imagine? And then she told him stuff. And then when I told my friend, she goes, he's an idiot. I didn't do any of that stuff. I mean, like, she would do it, I don't want to say, but
Mhm.
but then she did this, she did that, comparing her to the two women, which was
He sounded like
horrible.
he was a little touched.
Wacko.
Mhm.
Exactly. And then I'm sure she probably wouldn't mind. She would. Well, she would. If I tell her, I'm not saying any names.
Bud,
Um,
he's Bud. His name is Bud.
yeah, but the most craziest part about it, they got married. He was never divorced from the first wife. She found out years later that their marriage wasn't valid, and then she still turned around. I said, "You gonna marry him?" He was weird.
Wow. But you know what's so crazy about that is you was like nobody likes him, but nobody said anything.
No, we said things in our own way. Now her mom let her. She was known. That's why I'm like, don't be telling your mother. She has some bad idea of me.
Mm.
Um, it was just so much craziness.
Mm,
Now,
And even when
how old were you guys around that? Like what around?
well, I met her in college, and and we still are friends. Matter of fact, our birthdays, I owe her a call because our birthdays are exactly a month apart. Her birthday was
wow.
yesterday. Well, no, Saturday, the 22nd. And that was our thing all through college. We would always call each other. And in the last 3 or 4 years, it's been like, okay, we're a day late or a week late, but we still call
Mhm.
each other because our lives are just crazy.
Mhm.
But another thing, I got married, right? So she was a designer. When we went to this school, this is when my
Mhm.
first little degree was fashion merchandising. She
Mhm.
was fashion design. So for the wedding, she said, I'm going to make your dress. And I just bought the fabric. So she blessed me, and it was a beautiful wedding dress. The dude held my wedding dress hostage the day of my wedding.
Oh wow.
And I was in the room hysterical. And at the time, my husband, he knew him. And he was like, let me call him. He's like, hey, what's up? And he, a man thing,
Mhm.
I heard you hope you got my girl's dress. And next thing I know, me and my bridesmaids, we're flying to, if you've ever been in California, my wedding was in Costa, which is Southern
Mhm.
California. I had to drive an hour to Riverside. And they made me go to sleep because she was still working on the dress. And because he literally stopped her from making my dress because of a
Wow.
situation that happened between one of the guys that my husband chose to be his groomsman. And he's like, well, he should have not had him in. It was just when I tell you. So now I did think about it. Yeah, I did have one.
I
However, it
mean,
did not.
but
It
so she had to know people didn't like him. Well, hell, did she like him like that?
She must have. I mean, she stayed with him for so long. And me and my it was three of us. Really, no one liked him. No
But you know
one.
what? I wonder if she stayed with him because, like, for me, right? Like, I don't know if I would not have stayed in that, right? But I stayed in situations because I was just more, loving
Well, when
being
she
in a
found, yeah,
relationship versus
when she,
not. But I wouldn't have stayed in that craziness. But that's some
I
crazy
mean,
stuff.
she stayed in it for like 20, 25 years, something like a long time. And then one day when
And
she
wasn't
finally
even really
called me,
married.
huh?
I said, and she wasn't even really married.
And it came like years later. Like when I tell you years, it wasn't no 1 or 2 years. It might have been 10. It was I think it was double digits. And she told me, and then she said, and she would tell me, and she would tell my other friend, we got off the phone, like, I'm like, this stuff like that be on TV. Like
So like, but how did you guys support her? Like what kind of support did you give her?
we would try to tell her in a loving way that you need to take care of yourself
Mm.
Right.
and think about yourself. But she stayed in it. And then one day she just told us, she called us and she said that she had moved out and this, that, and the other. And she just left. She said, I left with nothing. But now she's doing well. She's remarried. She's happy. and he's miserable.
Wow.
From what I understand. I don't dwell in it because I could care less, really.
Yeah.
But sometimes she'll say stuff to me, and the things that he did to her, like the cheating parts. He was with some lady, and now she's cheating on him. Well, good for him.
Wow. That's
I
a
mean,
crazy story. So, Gina, how about you? Have you ever had a situation where you didn't like your friend's mate?
Yeah, it was it's not that I didn't like him, but I was disappointed in how the relationship was turning. Like we were all cool together, we either worked, it was like a group of us, we worked in the same space and whatnot. And and it looked like initially they were happy, they were doing really well. And then my girlfriend had shared with a few of us that, he he was not being faithful.
Mm.
And I was surprised because they just seemed like such a beautiful couple, right? They just, you know, they fed off of each other. They, the energy was always positive, and um, like it just really felt like they were. I was surprised. Like I was totally surprised when I found out otherwise, and I guess I was disappointed, but I knew that my role was to support her.
Mm.
So I had to get over the fact that I liked him, right? So up
Mm.
until that happened, where that was an issue, we were all cool together. We would go play
Mm-hmm.
together, go out and
Mm.
spend time with each other at our homes and stuff. All of that, and I was like kind of shocked. And so then it was like, well, how do I feel about this? Because I hate cheating. So I don't,
Mm.
that whole idea of infidelity, I don't like it, whether it's the man or the woman.
Mm.
So that bothered me, especially the type of woman that she is.
So, did you say something to her about it?
Oh, she dealt with it. Oh, she's no punk. She addressed that and kind of nipped it in the bud. You know, once she found out what it was, and I think she tried to work it out and give him opportunity to work it out because she loved him.
Mm.
And they had children together and everything. Um, but she was like, no, just she had a line that she wasn't the line, you can't cross it, and we needed to deal with certain things, and it wasn't dealt with properly. So they wound up not being together, and I guess it was more awkward because now she had the children and stuff. But he was like a good dad,
Mm-hmm.
but not a good spouse.
Mm.
And so I guess my after getting over the shock of it, I was disappointed. And being that she had already taken steps to handle it herself, it wasn't too much I I could say. It was just like being there for her. If she wanted to talk with us, talk to the women in the group, because
Mm-hmm.
it was like a bunch of us that just did stuff together.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that was one situation, but I've had a couple where I've had my opinions about a person, and I had to discern whether, well, was it like intuition, was it my gut, or he just rubbed me the wrong way. But
Mm-hmm.
clearly she was okay with it, because it happens both ways. Sometimes people ain't like who I chose or picked,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to be like, well, why is it is it attitude, is what is it? And I think it also depends on how deep the friendship is. If your friendship is really, um, it's not superficial, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not just, hey girl, how you doing, or we just go out for a little something and there's no big deal. You don't follow up, y'all talk to each other about your kids and that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
or your life and everything. But if it's somebody that you care about, like I have a few that were just really just beautiful women, and to see them go through stuff, like there was this one particular um sister friend, and we found out she was going through stuff with her children's father, and we were all kind of pissed.
Mm.
It was because we knew how hard she worked and everything to do what she had to do for her son, and so she talked to one of the older ones. Like I was like, this age, so she talked to one of the older ones, and they had that connection. Um, I always try to be neutral. Oh, matter of fact, it's okay. We talking girlfriend, but I'm gonna leave it.
Yeah, like
But I tried to be neutral because sometimes if your friend is trying to get out of a relationship or trying to figure out what to do, she doesn't need your pressure sometimes
mm,
on what and how to do because she's in it,
that's a
right?
good point. Yep.
So when you're in the situation, you're dealing with it from your vantage point, and you're trying to navigate what's in your home. But people don't always know what you have to navigate in your home. If
Mm,
it's are you together for finances? Is it really love? Or you feel like you want to give it a shot for whatever the reason? Now, outside of someone physically abusing you emotionally or financially, because those things people don't talk about. Right.
mm-hmm.
I may not like your man, but you choose to stay with him because it could be financial, right? It could be uh you just don't want to you love him in
Mm-hmm.
spite of, so you give yourself a reason to
Mm-hmm.
deal with what you're dealing with. Or you make excuses for the way he talks when it just doesn't resonate well.
Mm-hmm.
And if you love your friend, and it also again depends on how deep the relationship, you know, if what I'm looking at, testing the relationship, testing the friendship, it depends on how deep the friendship is.
Mm-hmm.
If you're someone that just kind of speaks your mind, like,
Mm-hmm.
girl, what you doing with that? Doing with
Mm-hmm.
that buster, whatever. I see. And so if you care, you gauge how you address the situation, because you looking at it from the outside and you don't know if they had an argument, because sometimes you think
Mm-hmm.
your girls tell you everything, but they don't always tell you everything.
Mm-hmm.
So before you jump in and try to be Miss Saver girl, you have to understand a little more about what you jumping into,
Mm-hmm.
because like Regina said earlier, relationships are something else. And you could be thinking, oh, you saying something, I'm gonna stand up for you because that's what we do. We look out for each other. And you don't know that they just had a situation where they both weren't on the right side of it. And they both needed to take a time out. You just kind of came in the middle of that. So now because that's your girl, right? You're gonna side with her. And
Mm-hmm.
it depends on the relationship too. Now if you and the guy's cool, like y'all met on neutral territories and you're all
Mm-hmm.
close, so that's different. So I think there's different degrees of how do you respond, um, with your friend's relationship, and but we're thinking it on the negative side. Now I'm gonna say this. I'm just be plain.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you got a girlfriend and you don't like her boyfriend or her man. I'm gonna say man because we two
Mm-hmm.
boys. Um, you don't like her man or her significant other because you ain't got one.
That could be.
So you feel some kind of salty way. So you see a little something he did. Maybe he did a little indiscretion. Maybe he double dipped the Doritos in the salsa.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you talk, oh, I don't deal with a man so messy like that. You coming in the kitchen
Mm-hmm.
doing that mess. So it depends on where you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes the guy's not always being like, bad or anything. But we also need to check ourselves. That's what I'm saying. If girl's my girlfriend's relationship is testing our friendship, then I need to look at why. Is it because she's going through really, like, you see her hurting, you see how is her light is dimming, you see how it's impacted her way of being,
Mm-hmm.
and she deserves better, and that bothers you and that hurts you, and okay, I get that. But if that's your friend, more like a sister, I don't disconnect from my sister. If we cool, we cool, right? I'd have to find a way, because I love you that much, that you're going to need someone to be there when you decide that, hey, I'm good with this, I'm over it. So if I make it plain to you on so many levels that, I don't think he's just that and the third, okay, well, who do I go to now that I'm ready to? And if me and you are tight and you try to come out of it, but you don't want to hear the, oh girl, I told you this and that. So we have to be mindful how we gauge another person's relationship, and if they're your friend or you love and care about them, you need to be mindful how you treat her.
So
Because
another question, right?
yeah.
This is your friend.
Yep.
You love her.
Yes.
But her man's an a-hole. You don't like
Okay.
him. You don't like the
Right.
way he treats her. You don't like anything about him, right?
Right.
It don't have nothing to do with you. You just not vibing,
So-
right?
Right.
You having an event.
Oh, that's a
Do you allow?
situation.
Do you say?
No,
Do you don't
Mm-mm.
not invite the person to?
No.
To the event?
I cannot, because that energy is going to be all throughout. If he's that type of person that he does things to upset the apple cart, so he's going to come there with that energy. First of all, you're not coming to anything I have, and you're going to bring that negative energy. Now, I love you to pieces. I love you to the moon and back, but I don't have to tolerate that in my space.
So how do you tell your friend that?
With love. Girl, you know me and you good. We tight like glue, but I can't deal with him. Like, I respect your choice and I love you, period. You want me to come to your house, I come, I do your thing, we go out together. But if I'm having something in my house, you know how he is, you know he's like, whatever it is that the deal is, I just don't want that around my house. And I will be honest.
What about you, Regina?
Pretty much the same. I was, as you was talking, I thought about, you're right, I do have other relationships. But yeah, we're on a different question, but I just can't have it, especially right now. You're just not invited. I'm sorry. And if you gotta come as a couple, then I mean, neither one of you can come. And with love, because that's what you tolerate, but that's not what I'm going to tolerate when I'm having something. Because you can't come to my event, my house. House might be a little, I don't know about your house. But an event, no. And people looking at me crazy. And
now with the younger Regina and the younger Gina handled it differently from the older Gina, and
I probably would have invited them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because
just prayed that nothing, just like, please don't let me be such a jerk,
Mhm.
But
and I don't want to give Pookie
you
a bad
learn.
rap. Yeah, you do.
You learn from, like I even was telling my grandson, getting in trouble in school. I said, you represent this family.
Mm-hmm.
So a teacher calling me is unacceptable. Because it reflects on how I'm raising you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of the same thing. I invite someone to my space, to my event, and then I have crazy people coming or a person coming, and they're looking at me like, what in the world? Like, God, I thought of another one. I did. You're right. Like, for instance, it was just the craziest thing. I ain't gonna say, but this was a relative. Did not like this guy, and he came in my house. And my relative was my niece. I had some crabs. I don't eat crabs, but my son, he loves them, so I make him eat them outside and all that, because all that crab stuff. I love crab cake. I just don't. All that work to get that little piece of meat.
We want to hit the story.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Anyway,
you digress.
before we get outside, he he has a piece in his mouth, like a partial. Dude takes it out, put it on my table, and start eating crabs. I said, "You got to be kidding me." I said, "Not only do I like you, are rude. Who does that?"
Did you say something?
I just looked at him very odd. I was like, I can't. But I was so shocked. But it even made me not like him even more because now he doesn't have manners. On my kitchen table.
But isn't it crazy how it could be the smallest thing, right? That just
But who
makes you
does
like,
that? You take them out and start. I was like, what in the world?
so all right. So I have another thing for you guys. So I don't know if you've seen this on Instagram, right? It's a video and the woman is asking people what would they do. So apparently her and her man, right? Her boyfriend, I guess, I don't know. I think they live together. I'm not sure. His friend from undergraduate school, right, was getting married, right? So mind you, they sent them to save the date. They invited them to the wedding, right? And when they moved to the area, like his friends moved to him, his friend and his fiance moved to the area. They had been hanging out together as couples or whatever, right? They were invited to the wedding. And then his undergraduate friend tells him that his girl is no longer invited to the wedding because they have decided that they only want married couples at the wedding. And she was like, what would you do? Right. And at this point in the thing, she was saying that I don't know that her man had decided whether he was still going to go or not. Right. So she was asking people and she was like, she don't care if he goes or not. But basically, this couple decided that only married couples, and their reason was they only want married couples because in their mind, married couples demonstrate true love or some nonsense it was, right? I wish I had downloaded the clip.
But they sent the invitation out.
Well, they had been invited. Like the girl even said it was within the town where they live. So at least they didn't lose money because it wasn't like they had booked, airfare or they needed to travel or whatever. But still, it was like we're invited, and now they're not. So it's like anybody that they invited that wasn't married, they were still invited, but their plus one wasn't.
Then you're saying two different things, because if you're saying you only wanted married people there, but then the single people, well, not single, unmarried people could be there without their mates, then what kind of message is that? That's still a messed up message. And then it's rude that you sent out an invitation. They were all the way wrong, to me, in my mind. Like you didn't uninvited them.
Right.
I wouldn't go.
Yeah.
Well, she can't go, but I don't, and she didn't say at this point her boyfriend still hadn't figured out if he was going or not. I didn't respond. Like people were in the comments saying exactly what you said, right? Like it was rude of them to invite them and then uninvite them at the last minute, right? But for me, I was like, yo, I mean, I'm usually not that girl, but if my dude was still even thinking about going, I'm looking at him side eye. Because I'm like, how are you going to be like, okay, all this time my girl is invited, but now she's not? It wouldn't like, because she was like, I'm not sure. I think she said something like her boyfriend is still trying to figure out whether or not he's gonna go, and she don't even care if he decides to go or not. And in my mind, I was thinking, and even a man in the comments said, if that is my woman or my wife or whatever, if that is my woman and somebody then says they're uninvited, then we're both uninvited.
Exactly. That's my point. I'm not going.
That's what I thought initially. First of all, you have friends that aren't married, but they have a relationship. So when you planning it, they that should have been taken into consideration. But once you realize that wasn't, and they did a part two on how they invited people, you you have rise up to what you're committed to. Me
Mm.
personally, if you tell me something like that, in my situation where my husband and I weren't married, I'd be like, well, if he can't go, I can't go. That
Right.
would have been my attitude.
Look, Sheila, exactly. I agree. If the invitation was partially rescinded, my other half better not go.
I know that's right, Sheila.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
I
crazy.
mean, but that was the crazy thing. Like, as she's telling the story, like, people are in the comments, but in my mind, I'm thinking, first of all, I'm thinking, what makes you think that someone's not married can't demonstrate true love? So then I was like, then somebody else was like in the comments, there was like, there has to be something else going on, right? Because and if they had only not invited her, I would say yes. But it sounded like anybody that was coming that was not married, their plus one was uninvited. And
Sound like they ran out of money, and that's what they.
that's what somebody else said.
Yeah.
Somebody else said it sounded
Yeah.
like it was a financial
So
thing.
what they're doing is saying the married people, of course, basically they gotta come.
Mhm.
So we're gonna cut out one. We could cut out the ones that aren't married. It's
But
crazy.
why wouldn't you just cut out single people in general? Because now you still got singles. You got singles.
Because they're having one, so they're choosing whoever their friend is. I guess I would just go take a loan because you should have looked at your budget. I mean, you could look at it that way.
Mhm.
That makes more sense than I mean, as far as trying to figure out why they did it, rather than because that married couples demonstrate marriage. What? Because
But
if you
now,
say
if somebody did that to you, would you address it with them, or would you just be like, I'm not going?
no, I'm not going. I'm not going to address it because I can't put no energy into something that's crazy. So guess what? I'm not going, and now our friendship has taken a different level because I see you in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I got to handle you a different way, and that's it.
Well, I mean, it's a strain on your friendship.
It's somewhat of a strain, but I'm not gonna make it into. We might not be as cool as we used to be. On some, it depends. It depends on how our relationship is. If we were really like
Well,
just
they was doing double date couple stuff all this time.
Well, but to Regina's point, then why offer the two of us as a couple to come and then rescind it and say it's only for married couples? So
Mhm.
is it a financial thing? And you know what? Depending on how cool me and my friend are, I would take her on the side and be like, "Girl,
and tell her, yeah.
I got this dress and everything."
But it wasn't the females. It was the males. So it was the males undergraduate. Yeah.
Right, but then so the male is my
Yeah,
man's.
the guy is friends with the boyfriend of the girl that was doing the Instagram live.
Okay.
So she was basically saying her man's friend from undergraduate school who had moved to the area and they had been hanging out and all of that and cool. It was him that said, change of plans. We now doing XYZ. And of course we know that he ain't come up with that on his own. But yeah, so it was the guys.
Well, guys, he better not go without me. I'm like, you ain't going without me.
Right.
Now it would be one thing because I'm not saying it on a point of me getting mad, but we were invited as a couple. So if they rescind the invitation, then we both not going, and you better tell your friend, okay, my girl can't come. I'm not coming. See you on the other side, bro. That's it.
So I'm bringing that up because has that ever happened to either one of you where you've had that situation where
I haven't had that situation.
I haven't had that.
That's some craziness right there.
Yeah, I mean, what? Okay, so it's not a separation, but like One of the things we've been doing recently at church is Super Bowl Sunday. The guys, the men fellowship together, and they can bring a friend and what have you. And
Mhm.
then they would tell the church members, to the women, okay, if y'all want to come, y'all can come too. But I felt like, one, I didn't want to stay at the game in church. I want to go home and
Mhm.
enjoy it. Two, y'all are going to be talking. It's different when you're not talking church related. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm blessed and highly favored. Oh, girl, you never pray all day, girl. You have a blessed week. No, it's different when you talk about something that doesn't have to be about anything but the sport. So
Mhm.
people you start hearing them speak a different way, act. They cool. They acting like themselves. I quite frankly don't want to always be around you being yourself. I
Mhm.
prefer to. I would find a way not to be a part of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I found a way.
I just thought that was interesting, especially
Yeah,
since we were talking about, right, like putting us, like, having situations
Mhm.
where you don't, because for me, I would think like after that, how do you continue to be like, to me, like now you're associate. You're like, like
Right,
we,
exactly.
like
That's what
you're
I'm saying
like
because you
now, like I don't know how close it sounded like they were close because it was like they went to undergrad together. The people that were engaged moved to the area. They all started hanging out. They were going out and together.
right.
but you
Now all of
saying
a sudden it changed. So for me, I would be like,
and
now
you also
now I'm
said
looking
it
at
was
you differently.
you also said that it wasn't only him. Well, we only can go by what he told the person,
Well,
Right.
but it
yeah.
Right.
was other people that got uninvited as well.
Mhm.
It definitely sounds like logically a financial
Yeah, I
thing.
mean that's what a lot
Yeah.
of people said
Yeah.
in the comments, but even so, just say that. Just
Just
say,
say that.
we had to scale back or something or
Yeah.
whatever. Like,
Don't just invite one. And so we're choosing, um, so each of them are choosing their friends. So the guy was friend with his undergraduate college friend. So now that's who he cool with. Probably on the other side, the girl chose whatever friend, her friend, and left told her spouse or boyfriend not to come. So
mm.
they're both to me, if that's the only way,
Well,
they're
I mean, and
choosing.
she didn't even say all of that, so we don't even know because we only know what
Well,
the
I'm
different
just
relations.
guessing. I'm just
Right.
guessing
Yeah.
the uninvited friend. It had to be so logically. The uninvited friend had to be not had to be. They weren't friends with either one of them, so it
Yeah.
had to be. So
Yeah,
they're
you're not
choosing their
my
friend.
friend. If you do something like that, we're not really friends.
No, you're not friends, but that's the one they're not taking because you're taking your plus one. The plus one don't need no neither one of them.
Yeah. Yeah,
Maybe,
like
maybe, but but they're taking. I'm saying the couple, the married people, the people that are getting married
mhm.
are choosing whichever their friends.
Yeah.
And
Oh, you're saying that she probably uninvited, one
her
person
friend's
and she
spouse,
yeah.
whoever was a single person. So they just went down the line. Okay, this my friend, he got a girl. This my friend, she got a guy. So we're gonna uninvite their plus ones on both sides and skip. That's what it
Mhm.
sounds like.
But the crazy thing is the reason that they gave, like, because of
Yeah.
Yes,
married
and then you come
people.
up with because you don't know because somebody married, their life is all perfect. So
Exactly. Exactly. That's why it was crazy. That's why it sound crazy, even crazier, right?
and if you were
But
going to do something like that from the very get-go, you would only invite married couples.
exactly.
And that would be your theme. We only want our married friends to come. And I'd be happy when I don't get invited to a wedding. I'm like, that's
Yeah. That's a lot.
$150
That's
in
a
my
whole
pocket. Because you're always paying for the
outfit
plate. But
presents.
now in Charlotte, it's different. People, I went to a couple weddings and I was like paying for my plate. They was like, paying for your plate. I said, yeah, because that's just what we
Well,
do.
everybody doesn't know that etiquette. Everybody does not know the etiquette. Everybody does not know you. And also, I will say, I have actually knowing the etiquette, been like, okay, I got a maximum. I'm not paying for no, you got some event where you paying you got $200 per plate because that's ridiculous, right?
Mhm.
But
No, they don't give you a rate, but my rate, I mean,
no,
used
what
to
I'm
be
saying, no, what I'm
$100.
saying, like
Yeah.
I know some
Mhm.
people that have been like, yo, this is what the plate amount costs or whatever.
You
So
guesstimate your plate. Like when I got married, they told me what my plate was, but of
mhm.
course I didn't put in there.
No, you didn't, but some people be doing that.
That's
Not a
crazy.
lot.
And if you do that, I'm not coming to your wedding, nor am I. You're not going to tell me how much. I'm going to give you a gift, but you're not going to tell me how much to give.
And so this just goes back to like right that
Yeah.
whole when your friendship is tested by certain situations, whether
Mhm.
it's you don't like the person mate, whether they do some crazy stuff like this, right? They act out or act crazy,
Mhm.
you know.
That's just like on the Facebook, happy birthday, you want to bless me? Here's my cash app. Like, no,
Oh my God. You know how so many
no.
people do that now
Yep.
though.
And one of my friends trying to convince me, I'm like, no, I'm not putting it. No, if somebody want to give me something, they'll give me.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't do
Like
that.
listen, what do they say? We listen and we don't judge. I will say I'm not gonna judge anybody
I'm
that
not
does that,
judging, but that's
but
not what
it's
I'm
not for
doing.
me, right?
Yeah,
Like
that
you,
is not
yeah,
for me at all.
yeah,
I'm not doing that.
yeah. But
So
I see that's
it's
a
a
thing now.
thing, and people really do. Because my one friend, she said, "I got so much more. That's on you. You do that. I'm not doing that."
That's a thing
That's
now. People
and,
do that now.
and you know she didn't get mad at me. She was like really trying to push me. You know how much you could somebody you just never know. Well, if they really wanted to bless me on my birthday, they would have made a way to bless me. I don't have to tell them, and I don't expect anything. My God, Lord and Savior, has blessed me because He let
Mhm.
me see another year. That's
Yeah.
all the blessing I need. I see my kids every day. I'm going to get on tantrum, but that's just not something I do.
Yeah. But no, it's true. I will tell you, I was still in Jersey when this happened, but I'll never forget. I usually go every year for my birthday for a massage or whatever. I know this is off topic. And literally, I got to the front and I went to pay, and the woman was like, "It's already paid for," right? And I was like trying to figure out who paid for my massage. And I
Mhm.
think it was a couple of weeks before I found out, like I call her my little sister, because I had mentioned I was going to a massage, and I didn't realize when she was like, "Oh, where are you going?" Right? Like that she literally called and she paid for it.
Yeah,
And
but
so
that's
to the
different,
point
and
you're
that
making,
was
if
so
somebody wants
yeah.
to bless you,
Yeah,
they're gonna
they'll
bless
make a way. They'll make a way to bless you.
you. Yeah,
Hmm.
true that.
Yeah,
Well,
so
ladies, we are at the top of the hour. As usual, the time flew with this topic. So the I guess the consensus is, and I really would say it's different, right? Because
Yeah, each
I feel like
situation
our
is
younger
different.
selves will probably be like, you know what, we just gonna tolerate, we're gonna do whatever. Whereas our older selves probably would be like, you know what, sis, I'm not feeling dude, at least for me. I'd be like, I would probably want to let them know that, I'm not really feeling this person, right? And I support you, I love you, I got your back, but the way I'm gonna engage with this individual is gonna be XYZ, right? So,
well,
because especially because like what you said, Regina, I'm at a point where I only really want to accept certain energy
mhm.
in my
Yeah.
space, right? So whether that's in my home or us just getting together, I don't want to go somewhere and feel uncomfortable because I'm around someone that I really don't care for.
Right.
You
And
know.
that's the other thing in regards to, you get older. Well, some folks do it younger, as
Mhm.
we mature, um
We do it differently
we
as
do
we
it different because we saying, okay, the thing that we have is most important wasn't a lot of the stuff we thought it was. Our time is the most valuable thing. So if I'm gonna spend my time with you, I don't need the other stuff too. And you the risk or the thing that you have to accept is you don't know what her reaction to that's going to be. You don't
Mhm.
know
Mhm.
how she's going to respond. And if she's defensive, that's fine. You have to understand that because that's her spouse, that's her mate, right?
Mhm.
But you got to protect your space and as much as you can. Um, don't walk into a problem, right? Or don't invite a problem to your house. I like to call it different levels of pookieism. You know, like how much pookie can I deal with, right? And is this version of who her Pookie is he gonna cut up and act out? Is he gonna piss off my other peoples? We
Yeah.
may have mutual people together, and then you don't want it to be a conversation talking about how he's acting, taken away from us being together.
Mhm.
So, but I think it starts with how deep is the friendship? What is it that you're really upset about? Is it in regards to her well being? Is he is he more of annoying like a big brother or little brother?
Mhm.
If it's that, then yeah, come on over because
Yeah.
family's annoying sometimes anyway. But if it's something where you see that she's being impacted,
Mhm.
um, not in a good way, then yeah, it's I don't think it's one quick fix. I think the best thing to do if you're in that situation is you know, take your time. Think about your friendship. Think about who she is.
Mhm.
And you don't know all of this, so before you start geeing up about this guy, this, that, and the other, ask some questions, right? Because you can assume a lot because you see a couple of things. Just like on social media, you see a post and everybody got something to say about it, but what's the context,
Mhm.
right? So is this an ongoing thing? Did you come in when they was having a moment? Or did she tell you something in the heat, like Regina said, like you said? Sometimes you can't tell your girls what's going on because when it passes and y'all good, then they looking at you like, girl, I wouldn't stay with him. And
Mhm.
you're like, no, but we worked it out and he's really good. Like it happened
Mhm.
and we're good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
but I think something that you said that is really important is though you have to know your friends,
you have to know your
right?
friends.
Like I could tell you my core. I know the ones that I could say, hey, like
Right.
straight up, just I ain't feeling it, and then I know the ones that I got to be a little more sensitive about it,
Right.
right? And then I know the ones where I just be like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit back and pray, right? And when it goes wherever it's gonna go, I'm just gonna be there to support, right? But I think the
Right.
main thing is you have to know your friends and what they will receive and what they're not able to receive. What say
True.
you, Regina?
Well, I'll say, 'cause, I do have a friend that, which is more like my daughter, cannot stand it. What I always told her, you'll know when you had enough. And I said, I only
Mm,
tolerate, but I'm able to tell her this. I thought that's a,
mm,
I said, I only tolerate him because of you.
mm,
Mm,
But I'm able to tell her things of like a mother would tell her. But I'm not
mm,
encouraging you to leave now. If he start, hitting and this and the other, and to the point now, she has another friend, and she calls me mom. She said, "Ma, tell her everything you just told me. You'll know when you have enough." And that's
mm,
what I always tell her. And when she finally had enough and left, it was years and years, but then she kind of went into another relationship, not as bad, but kind of the same type of
mm,
thing. And and then when she did that, I just kind of said, "You don't think you should just chill out for a while and just figure out yourself in a
mm.
loving way." And now she come back and she said, if I get out of this, I'm not getting another relationship. I'm going to wait. I'm going to find me. I said, okay.
All right, that's next week's
that's
topic. That is next
Mm-hmm.
week's topic. How
okay.
much time do you need in between relationships? Because that's a good point,
That's
Yeah.
good. That's
Yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm.
right? So you've been listening to the Women to Women show on the New You Nation Network. We're just I'm not going to say ordinary, we're extraordinary women, right? But we have found our way here
Excuse
as
me.
we navigate our purpose in life. And so We are on this network every Monday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we look forward to you joining us next week, same time. Please like and subscribe and share so you can join us next week at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but that you can also enjoy the other programs that are on this network. And with that, we are going to say good night and thank you for joining us.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good
Good night.
night.